It says we're ready, so go ahead.
All right, good. Everybody ready? Let's start. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to a regularly scheduled meeting of the Zoning Commission of the City of Danbury. Web-based meeting hosted on Zoom, September 24th, 2024 at 7 p.m. Let the record show. We will begin with a roll call at 7:07. I'm getting I'll wait to turn off mics after we do the roll call. I'm getting an echo back here. Commissioner Bennett is absent. Commissioner Botello.
Here.
Commissioner Cabrera. Commissioner Cabrera. Here. Up. We're not hearing you. I know you're here, but work on your volume in case you want to talk later. There you go. Commissioner James is absent. Commissioner Jowdy.
Here.
Commissioner Nazario is absent. Commissioner Nejane.
Here.
Commissioner O'Neill.
Here.
Commissioner Harrison.
Here.
Commissioner Simone.
Here.
Commissioner Villacrest. We'll put her down for absent for now. Commissioner Harrison, I'm going to seat you for the entire evening for Commissioner Bennett. And Commissioner Simone, I'm going to seat you for the entire evening for Commissioner James.
Got it.
Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, and I am Chairman Haddad. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Confirmed, we have 8, Ms. Reed? Thank you. The next regular meeting is scheduled for October 8th, 2024. Let me take a quick peek here. Okay, we have that public hearing on the 22nd. So if we carry something over tonight, that'll be heard on the 8th. Right now, we don't have anything else for that. If everyone can hold their flags, and we can, if you have them, and stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America,
to the
and to the
republic
republic for which it stands, one nation, under God,
indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone.
Mr. Haddad, I'd like to just inject one thing before we start. I would like
Sure.
to propose a moment of silence for Dick Jowdy, which was a great friend to many of us, and he did so much for the ZBA and the city of Danbury that I really feel that we need to at least acknowledge the loss of him and just keep him in our hearts. So a moment of silence and private prayer would be what I would suggest.
Sure, absolutely.
And does anyone have any great stories about him?
Commissioner Jowdy,
Yeah.
I'm sure you do.
He always told me he was the real Richard Jowdy. And my mom said that she named me a year and a half before Dick changed his name from Saad to Richard.
Right,
I was
right.
born. So I was Richard. And then he came in and dropped the Saad and went to Richard. So there's two sides to the story, but Dick won that one.
Hey Rick, did you ever see Dick's picture in his high school yearbook?
Oh,
Big
yeah.
toe?
Yeah.
Big toe?
Right below his
big toe.
picture, it says, "Don't call me Saad."
Oh, okay.
That was Ted, that was a drop kick. That wasn't even a regular field goal. That was a drop kick.
Really? From 20
I was
yards out?
talking to a guy who was at the game this morning. He was at the game.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
You sure he could remember that far back?
It's Art Roberts. Remember Art Roberts? He from the Danbury Redevelopment Republican Town Committee. Art
Okay.
has a great memory.
Okay.
But and by the way, my memory of Dick Jowdy is I used to deliver milk to him at Donut Time on Sugar Hollow Road
Sure, yeah.
when he had his donut restaurant. And then I served. I've been in front of the ZBA in Danbury for just about 50 years now, and there've only been 3 chairmen in 50 years, and the longest one was, of course, Dick. He was there forever. Fabulous.
He always said he had to stay as long as Mark was mayor. Once Mark stopped being mayor, then he was willing to give up the chair.
Yeah.
Good
He's a
guy.
good guy.
Yeah, good
Reflected
guy.
all the best.
Yeah,
He
Yes,
was.
for sure.
he's ahead of his time in the business world too.
Jackie, I have 2 of you. Why do I have two of you, Jackie?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you in the
Okay.
one that you're on live.
Am I
Okay,
the only one getting an echo?
okay. Anybody else on Dick Jowdy? May he rest in peace. May his
Where'd
memory.
she go? Now I
Yes.
lost both of them. Oh, there she is. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Bobby, for that, for the reminder. Let's see, everybody should have received copies of the minutes for July 23rd and September 10th. I want to take those separately. Let's talk about the July 23rd, 2024 minutes. Has everybody got them or read them? Is there a motion to accept those minutes of July 23rd? Motion
I'll
made by
make-
Commissioner Botello. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Cabrera. Any discussion? Any additions, modifications, deletions, subtractions? Not hearing any. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Aye.
The minutes of July 23rd are accepted unanimously. Regarding the September 10th minutes, September 10th, 2024. Everybody got a copy of it?
Yes.
Yes, is there a motion to accept the minutes of September 10th? Motion made by Commissioner Jowdy. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Botello. Any discussion? Additions, deletions, subtractions? Everybody sure? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? September 10th minutes are accepted unanimously. If I can ask everyone at this point to just mute their microphone and be prepared to turn them on when they get called on or when you want to speak. We're getting some feedback here. So let me read the introduction of the virtual meeting. As per the governor, this meeting of the Danbury Zoning Commission is being held on Zoom as a virtual meeting. Even though this meeting is a virtual meeting, members of the public and interested parties continue to have the opportunity to participate in the meeting in a couple of different ways. You can participate via Zoom and see the audio and the video, or you can call in by phone and participate via audio only. Please be aware that we may have to mute your microphone or telephone to avoid an echo or some other background noise. This is also being streamed live via YouTube. Instructions on how to participate in the meeting appear on the City of Danbury website, and all of the documents and materials that apply to the matters to be discussed during this meeting, including the agenda, are also available on the City of Danbury website. As always, if you have any questions, please contact the City of Danbury Planning and Zoning Department. As a reminder, the entire meeting will be posted on and can be seen on the City of Danbury website. We will follow the posted agenda as per standard practice. If prior to the meeting, any questions or comments on agenda items are submitted via email to Ms. Jennifer Eminger, those comments will be read during the appropriate portion of the meeting. Finally, please remember that technology glitches sometimes do occur. Please be patient if that happens. Okay. Regarding the legal notice. By the way, this agenda was filed in the town clerk's office on Thursday, September 19, 2024, at 1:56 p.m. Legal notice. Notice is hereby given that the zoning commission of the city of Danbury will hold a public hearings commencing at 7 p.m. on Tuesday, September 24, 2024, in a web-based meeting hosted on Zoom to consider the following matters. Number one, petition of JMZL Partners LLC Danbury PLLC to amend section 7C3A1E and add section 7C3A4 of the zoning regulations. In parentheses, limit the prohibition on auto repair for a previously approved site located within a public water supply watershed district. Number two, petition of Luis Mateo Mika Restaurant 86-90 White Street I-13053 and I-13054 for special permit for restaurant liquor in the CCBD zone. Copies of these applications are on file in the town clerk's office and planning and zoning offices for public inspection. Parties in interest and citizens shall have the opportunity to be heard at this time. The agenda will be posted on the city website and will include instructions on how to access the Zoom meeting and view the meeting in real time on YouTube. Theodore J. Haddad Jr., Chairman. Posted on the city website and town clerk's office on September 10th, 2024. Posted in the News Times on September 13th, 2024. And September 20th, 2024, purchase order 2024-8. Our first public hearing this evening is a public hearing. Petition JMZL Partners LLC of Danbury PLLC to amend section 7.3A1E and add section 7C3A4 of the zoning regulations limit the prohibition on auto repair for previously approved site located within the public supply watershed district. This is going to seem to the new commissioners, this is going to seem a little backwards at first, but we'll get into that when we get over to the comments from staff. So when I read this planning commission report, you'll understand what I mean. September 19, 2024, Theodore J. Haddad Jr., Chairman, Danbury Zoning Commission, from Arnold E. Finaldi, Chairman, Danbury Planning Commission, 8-3A referral of petition JMZL Partners. At the web-based Zoom meeting held on September 18, 2024, excuse me, the City of Danbury Planning Commission voted to give the above referenced petition a positive recommendation with the addition of the following provisions to the proposed amendment language. So in other words, they voted positive, the Planning Commission voted positive, and they've added this language to the petition as submitted. All required certifications shall be, number one, all required certifications shall be submitted, prepared, signed, and sealed by a professional engineer licensed and registered in the state of Connecticut. Number two, limit to class 2 only. Number three, the minimum lot area shall be 3 acres and be located in the CA80 zoning district. Number four, the use shall be served by municipal water and sewer. Number five, the facility shall be licensed as a new car dealer in accordance with the state of Connecticut Department of Motor Vehicle requirements. Number six, all activities related to auto repair servicing, including detailing, washing, shall occur within the primary building, which shall not be located within 100 feet of a wetland water course that drains into a reservoir. Number seven, the on-site storage of fuel shall be prohibited. Number eight, auto body repair shall be prohibited. Number nine, loading areas and docks shall be covered. 10, the applicant shall obtain any and all necessary permits from Connecticut DEEP for wastewater discharges. 11, all repair, loading area docks and washing detailing activities shall have floor drains that discharge to a properly designed and sized oil grit separator that directly discharges to municipal sanitary sewer. 12, containment for any hazardous materials, including the storage of vehicle fluids and lead acid batteries, shall be 125% of the size of the containment vessel. 13, hooded catch basins shall be utilized in the stormwater management system. 14, submission of a spill prevention plan. 15, submission of a waste management plan that includes the removal of all liquid waste related to the servicing and detailing of automobiles. The reasons given for the positive recommendation are: this proposal is in compliance with the land use and environmental resources goal of the Plan of Conservation Development, which recommends review and update of the regulations to ensure the city's environmental resources are adequately protected. And with the addition of the provisions listed above, the necessary precautions would be in place to enhance protections in the watershed. The motion to give this a positive recommendation was made by Mr. Chioccio, seconded by Mrs. Hofstetter, passed unanimously by voice vote with 5 ayes from Mr. Chioccio, Mr. Haas, Mrs. Hofstetter, Mr. Sylvain, Chairman Finaldi. One of the larger Planning Commission referrals. Also, 8-3B referral was sent to WestCog, and their opinion is of WestCog staff that the proposals of local interest with minimal intermunicipal impact. Therefore, it is not being forwarded to the adjacent municipalities, and the regional staff is making no comment. So I'm going to call on now, if I can, Ms. Eminger, the Deputy Planning Director, to go over her staff report and tie into what I meant at the beginning about the Planning Commission's recommendations, if you would. Ms. Eminger.
Thank you, Chairman Haddad. For the record, Jennifer Eminger, Deputy Planning Director. You have before you tonight my staff report dated September 13th. So we received a petition from Attorney Neil Marcus on behalf of JMZL Partners LLC to amend the watershed regulations to allow auto repair in the Class 1 watershed area and the Class 2 Lake Kenosha watershed area. So again, the petition amends section 7C3A1 little e by adding an additional referencing section. That referencing section would then allow auto repair to the service area of a new car dealership. The proposed text requires, again, this is the text that was submitted with the petition, that all repair maintenance activities are confined within a service area and certified by a licensed environmental professional to contain hazardous fluids and or materials within the building structure in a manner that will not leak or escape from the building structure and impact the site with any potential environmental spills. Again, this was the petition as submitted that was attached to the agenda. So a little background on the watershed. So if you happen to have your zoning regulations in front of you, it's section 7C, which is page 7-11. This is the entire referencing section. 7C is what we consider an overlay zone that regulates and restricts land use activities within the city's watershed areas. These areas are comprised of two watershed classifications: Class 1 watershed areas and Class 2 Lake Kenosha watershed areas. Class 1 lands are located within numerous reservoir areas across the city. We have 14 designated Class 1 watershed areas. These are, the Marjorie Reservoir, Westlake Reservoir, Padenarum, Eureka. There's a whole slew. There's 14 of them. And again, these are protecting the city's water supply, public and private water supplies. Class 2 are lands in the general vicinity of Lake Kenosha. Both Class 1 and Class 2 classifications also include what we call environmentally sensitive areas, and these designations provide further restrictions. Section 7.3A currently prohibits auto repair uses within both Class 1 and Class 2 watershed areas. There's, I think, five to six prohibited uses. Again, auto repair is one of those uses. So with respect to comments, the statement of support submitted with the applicant's petition provides site-specific details. However, the department reminds the commissions that this petition, as written, applies to all lands within Class 1 and Class 2 watershed. It's far-reaching. The watershed regs were adopted by the Zoning Commission a long time ago, several decades ago. And since that time, DEEP, which is the Connecticut Department of Energy and Environmental Protection, has instituted a whole slew of regulatory processes that actually permit wastewater discharges. And this permit provides for additional processes pertaining to vehicle maintenance wastewater with required discharges to oil grit separators that are then discharged to either an on-site holding tank or sanitary sewer. Those provisions provide additional protections that prevent auto repair facilities from direct discharges that impact the groundwater supply. So in context, when you think of the older auto repair facilities, the 2-bay auto repair facilities, those, and there are, I think, 3 or 4 of them on Mill Plain Road. One of them, John's Auto, which is now vacant, and they're literally cleaning the site up because of contamination. That's what we would call one of the older type facilities. Those facilities are no longer permitted because you're required to have those wastewater discharge permits from DEEP. So again, providing those additional protections. The department agrees with the applicant in that auto repair facilities, specifically those that are part of the full service new car dealerships, have generally evolved to incorporate modern technologies. And plus, once you couple this with these DEEP requirements, provide the improved environmental controls. and ultimately protect the water supply, and the watershed. However, this is the problem, and this is when, Chairman Haddad mentioned it's a little different than how we normally would, address a petition. The text as written has wide applicability across the watersheds. It fails to sufficiently provide the provisions and restrictions necessary to protect the water supply, in the department's opinion. We're not opposed per se. However, significant restrictions and prohibitions are warranted to ensure the necessary protections are in place. Chairman Haddad read the Planning Commission referral. That same language is outlined in the staff report. I'm not going to go through it verbatim because you have it in front of you. But what I did, once the petition was received, I sat down with our health department, our environmental compliance officer, who is our designee for our watershed reviews, and went through it with him. And the bulleted items in the staff report represent a collaboration between the departments, as well as reviewing information provided by the petitioner. So again, all of these additional recommendations provide those further restrictions that staff would be comfortable with in allowing auto repair. Again, in only the class 2, 3 acres in the CA 80 zone. Has to be a new car dealership, not a used car dealership. You know, we want to see all activities indoors, no fuel storage. You can't be within 100 feet of a wetland water course that drains into a reservoir. So I think with that, the recommendations, I feel, as well as the health department, are critical to protecting the watershed and provide the necessary prohibitions and restrictions for an auto repair use. Remember, it's not a use that's allowed in any of the watersheds. So in this case, if the commission chooses, we would ask that these recommendations be incorporated into a revised petition. I have been working with Attorney Marcus. I spoke to him earlier today. He has submitted revised language that incorporates all of these bullet points. I asked that he not provide it to the commission tonight because we're still wordsmithing it. Again, the core language is still there. We're just fine-tuning it just a bit. But again, Attorney Marcus and his team have provided the necessary information. We think that the recommendations, if incorporated, would sufficiently protect the water supply in the watershed. With respect to, just quickly, and you'd heard, the Planning Commission determined that it complies with the POCD, again, making sure that those recommendations are incorporated. With that, again, staff doesn't object, just that these recommendations should be incorporated into the petition. So if
Thank
there
you.
are any questions,
Let me
I'd
see.
be happy to answer.
Let me see if the commission members have any questions, then I want to go into some dialogue with you. Commission members, any questions at this time? So far, Commissioner Botello.
Yes, thank you for the floor. Well, basically, there was a great presentation, Ms. Eminger. I just want to understand where you are with the alignment with dealing with Mr. Marcus as far as how, with this application that you're going to present to us, is this the final and the best that we're going to be looking at, or is this still in work in process?
So, if I may, Mr. Chairman. So
Yes,
again, what you'll see, so the petition that was submitted with the application is a link in the agenda. That petition, the proposed text language will be updated to incorporate all of these bullet points. Again, this represents the collaboration between city staff, and Attorney Marcus has agreed with all of them. we're just fine tuning. It's, the formatting, the structure, we're adding a couple more, little like additional language for what needs to be in the spill prevention plan, clarification on the containment vessel, things like that. But the actual language itself, Attorney Marcus has agreed and has shown us, staff, that they have all been incorporated.
But once again, we could leave here tonight comfortably knowing that this application is in a great position to be able to be decided on.
Now, if I may, Mr. Chairman,
Please.
do you want me to take this or do you want to take it?
Go ahead. I was going to address it, but you go ahead.
So it will be my suggestion, and again, Attorney Marcus has agreed with this as well, to allow, presentations tonight, and certainly the public to speak. But the request from staff is that you keep the hearing open, to allow staff to, fine tune that updated, text amendment, the language, and get it back to the commission for the next meeting.
Okay, thank you.
So, Ms. Eminger, let me address the commission first. The staff report mentioned those 15 items. That's how the planning commission came up with their referral. They took those word for word from the staff report and gave us our recommendation. So this is different than what we're used to seeing. There should be no reason this commission should no way approve the petition as submitted, especially since we have 15 items that have become a collaboration between the staff and the petitioner, which protect the city's interests, which in my opinion become much more restrictive, much more harsh, much more protective. So that being said, these are still the commission's options. The commission can deny the petition as submitted and then have them come back with a new petition with those items in here that they've worked on. But that doesn't make much sense because there'd be a lot of time lost, and that's not really efficient from the staff standpoint, serving the taxpayers, serving a petitioner, which they should know if they're getting a yes or a no in a timely fashion. So since there was a collaboration midstream between the petitioner and the staff, they've come up with some items that would make it, the staff believes, better in the better interest of the citizens of Danbury and property owners, and also something that the petitioner would agree to. That being said, I don't want to amend on the fly tonight. What I'd rather do is have them put down on paper a written collaboration, as she calls it, wordsmithing, so that they can come back to us on the next meeting with an amended petition, a real in black and white amended petition that we will then have in front of us that we're going to say yes and no to. All right. So it's sort of backwards, but yet it's progressing by not kicking this out of the arena and having them come back cold again. So is that correct, Ms. Eminger? Did I sort of break it down into plain language?
No, that's exactly it. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you too.
All right. So yeah, clearly we're not going to take action on it tonight. We are going to wait for an amended petition, and now we're going to go to Attorney Marcus to present. And let me say to the public, anyone that's wishing to speak in favor or against, you can feel comfortable in addressing what will be a amended petition, since that's where we're at this point in time. If you're in favor of the amended petition, speak that way. If you're opposed to it, speak that way. Or if you have questions, please come in with your questions and someone will address them for you. Attorney Marcus.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. For the record, Neil Marcus, Cone Wolf PC 158, Deer Hill Avenue, Danbury, Connecticut. And I'm here on behalf of the applicant, which is Zell Partners, who are agents for Danbury Porsche and the automotive group that runs the 3 dealerships on Sugar Hollow Road and a used car dealership at the location, which has been the focal point of this application, which is on Mill Plain Road. And that currently they operate a used car facility. Some of you may remember it when it was set up by Weeks Motors years ago. That site was a golf driving range. But anyway, this is an unusual application. Everybody keeps saying we're taking things a little bit out of the ordinary order. The Planning Commission, as you commented, Mr. Chairman, has written one of the most extensive letters in response to a referral that you've seen and I've seen in a long time. And quite honestly, we've used the word collaboration, and this has been the most cooperative zoning amendment and petition that I've filed in many, many years, because I think there's a common goal to establish a regulation that is foolproof when it comes to the environment, yet accommodates the plan of conservation development and the economic growth that we're seeking in going forward with this petition in the first place. In my statement in support, I talk about the fact that this came to me when Danbury Porsche said that they needed to build a new facility. They'd outgrown their showroom and shop on Sugar Hollow. So, of course, if you know the location on Sugar Hollow, it's so restricted. You got the airport, so you can't go up because you got height restrictions. And they've got 3 dealerships, and they're just, the site is completely occupied. There's no place to go. So they came up with the idea that if they could swap their new car dealership to Mill Plain Road and move their used car dealership to Sugar Hollow, all would be well. And by the way, I thought that was a terrific idea. And I'm a little selfish in my thinking on that. And I think I told the client from day one, if you can construct a modern facility on Interstate 84 that everybody coming in from New York State sees as they enter Danbury, it's a great statement for this community. It really is, in these new dealerships, you've seen some of them. A lot of you missed the Danbury Topsoil facility on the corner of Maury Brook, but and I won't speak too highly of Mercedes-Benz because I'm being paid by Porsche, but the competitors. But that facility there is really a tribute to a statement, because you come in from Richfield on a new Route 7, a highway that, you see something modern and progressive as opposed to what was there for so many years, which was a dump, to be polite. But anyway, I was in favor because my own selfish thinking is it improves Danbury. It's a great statement. But I told my client, you've got a slight problem here, because the new car dealership will have a service area and you're going to repair automobiles. And your used car dealership has a prohibition against automotive repair. When that facility was approved in the Kenosha watershed in the environmentally sensitive area, there was a resolution which allows maintenance and service of vehicles, but no repair. And of course, that's a problem for me to try to figure out, what do you mean when you can maintain and service a car, but you can't repair it? Because the line is kind of blurred. Think of your own experience. You bring your car in for an oil change and maybe to flush the radiator, and that's service. You put on new brake pads, that's service, or that's maintenance. But I guess if you have to replace the ball joints in the front end, well, that becomes a repair. So I mean, you got to figure out what we're talking about. So when I explained to the client that you're going to have you could swap your uses of these properties, but you're going to have an issue when somebody says, well, what's your shop really doing? Your service area, and you're going to have a potential debate between service and maintenance and repair. Now, going forward, in a comment that Jennifer made in her report, the regulations that we're dealing with were drafted many years ago. The technology of automobile service shops has grown significantly in that time, and the technology of dealing with wastewater and controlling the environment at the DEP level has also grown exponentially since the regulations were drafted probably 30 or so more years ago. So Jennifer agreed from day one when I met with her that we could take a look at this, that it would make sense, and with a little bit of luck, we could come out with an improved regulation across the board. So I tried my hand at drafting the reg. I kept it very simple, and then of course Jennifer has pointed out maybe it was too simple, and it needs to be refined. Refinement has always been an issue in my life because I'm all for it. My parents thought early on if they sent me to Worcester School, they would be refining me, and they didn't quite succeed. But that's another story. But here, where Jennifer is talking about refining, when she suggested it, we jumped on it. On the hearing tonight, attending with us, I've got Dinas Fabricus from Artel, who's our civil engineer. He was brought on early on to advise us and assist us in drafting a regulation that protects the environment. We also have with us tonight Mark Framson, who is he's both a professional engineer and a licensed environmental professional, LEP. So we asked him to make recommendations from the very start as to how we could draft the regulation in a manner to ensure that we're not going to risk damage to the environment. They're both here to answer any questions. I'm not asking them to present tonight, but they're in the background. If we need them, we'll call on them. Also, I'd like to welcome Mark Sobel from Zell Partners, who's in attendance this evening. He's been spearheading this project from day one. But the essence of what we're proposing is really captured first by the staff report and then by the Planning Commission recommendation. The refinement in the revisions, when Jennifer suggested them after she took a first cut at the reg, we had a conference call with Dinas and with her and with me, and we immediately agreed. There was no contention, no real debate. We all agreed between the three of us that the requests were reasonable and could be accommodated. And then I went back, of course, to my client and said, if you put your auto repair shop, your auto service area on this site, here's what you're going to have to comply with. And quite honestly, they already do that. I mean, there is no question that the Porsche handbook that I've seen, which is the whole handbook for their facilities, 100 pages or more, but the area dealing with environmental controls is extensive, and it has everything in it that Jennifer was writing in her recommendations. Everything indoors, all the containment vessels, of course, it goes without saying, we need to get the DEP permits, DEP. We need to get the DMV permits. That goes without saying. But all of the additional things, including where there's a request for a submission of a spill prevention plan. Well, yesterday I was on the phone in a conference call with the manager of the current Porsche dealership on Sugar Hollow, and we talked about a question of what happens if a tube that is from a delivery truck, an oil delivery truck going to your home, what happens if that hose that goes into your tank breaks between your driveway and your fill in the basement? What happens if that breaks? What do we do? And interestingly enough, our manager said, hang on a second, I'm going to look at our spill prevention plan. I mean, he's got a spill prevention plan. And he had the answer for me. I gave it to Jennifer earlier today. And quite honestly, it is the right answer. The answer is that you can't just put your hose in the ground like you're filling your car at the gas station and then go into the convenience store and buy a cup of coffee and talk to the clerk. You got to stand right there. And as you monitor the feed, the feed is in the building, so that the connection would go into the building where it gets fed into the tanks. But you would monitor it And if you see any event, there's an immediate shutoff. And of course, then they do have all the spill response material. They've got the absorbent pads. They've got the what we call the cat litter that they spread out. And granted, if you have 5 or 10 gallons drop on the ground because you haven't hit the switch instantaneously, you can immediately control that, and it's not a hazardous spill. So they're ahead of us. With all due respect, the Porsche handbook is way ahead of what I originally thought we were doing, and to that I compliment them. And it's made our life a lot easier because they say all the recommendations from both Planning and Jennifer, we've already thought is necessary to begin with. These itemized requirements are just standard operating procedure for the Porsche facility. And between you and me, it's not, I'll sing Porsche's praise, but if you drop down to Richfield BMW into their brand new facility there that Claris built a couple of years ago, and go into their service area, you can eat off the floor. I mean, seriously, it is immaculate. If you go into the new Mercedes service area, it's the same thing. They are immaculate. I think of that, and I think of my father's garage in Sugar Hollow Road where he maintained milk trucks, 50 years ago, and it's the difference between living in the Middle Ages and living in modern times. It's amazing. But so where we are this evening, and I think the chairman has kind of encapsulated the process. I didn't submit a formal set of revisions because, quite honestly, this hearing has been noticed with the original petition. However, immediately after we spoke with staff and right after the Planning Commission met, we immediately put the revisions into play. They do need to be wordsmithed. They need to be edited. They need to be refined. And we're going to do all that. But I think that we're going to ask the commission this evening, we're going to stand by to answer any questions, and we're going to listen to any public comment to take that into consideration as well. But we're going to ask the commission to do what you've already suggested, to continue the hearing. And by the next hearing, we would hope to have a book perfect reg. It's something that you can look at and say, this is now exactly what the Planning Commission envisioned, what the staff envisioned, and what the applicant has envisioned from day one. So having said that, I'll just go back to where I started. It's been a terrific process to sit down and work out towards a common goal of not only, accomplishing economic growth in the city, but doing it in a way that improves our environmental regulations. I had that experience a long time ago with these same regs when we had a gas station down on Mill Plain Road that it was contaminated. It was dirtier than hell, and it was in front of Trader Joe's. And what we did is we swapped property between Trader Joe's and the gas station, cleaned up the gas station site, and that became a parking lot for a men's shoe warehouse out there. And the portion of the Trader Joe's site became the new gas station. But to do that, I had to write a regulation because you couldn't build a gas station in the Kenosha environmentally sensitive Class 2 watershed. But we created a regulation that allowed us to clean up a site, and that was enough of a benefit to trigger a very slight, subtle change to the regulation. Here, we're somewhat the same. We're going to make it absolutely crystal clear as to what's required and what's acceptable. And there'll be no ambiguity. And what you're going to do is you're going to take a relatively new, the facility that was built for the used car lot is relatively new. You're going to take that and you're going to convert it to the state of the art. So we'll stand by. We'll answer any questions, and then we'll hopefully pick up again on the next meeting to finish this. Thank you.
Thank you, Attorney Marcus. Attorney Marcus, just again, one quick second. Your experts that you had introduced had their fingerprints on this as well, then, right?
Oh, you bet. From day one,
Yeah.
when we submitted the original application, we submitted a report from Mark Framson to support it. You bet.
Thank you for that. Commission members, any questions of Attorney Marcus at this time? Commission members? Commission members, anything of Attorney Marcus? Not right now, Attorney Marcus. Anyone else you want to introduce, Attorney Marcus? Any other experts?
Not at this point. As I say, if you have any questions, they're here and they'll be happy to try to answer them.
Great, thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor of this petition? Anyone wishing to speak in favor of this petition? Anyone else wishing to speak in favor of this petition? Is there anyone wishing to speak in opposition to this petition? Is there anyone wishing to speak in opposition to this petition? Is there anyone wishing to speak in opposition to this petition? Attorney Marcus, I don't think I'm going to you for any other comments because we're going to keep this public hearing open. So we're just going to go right past you. I'm going to see if Ms. Eminger has anything that she wants to throw into the mix, and if not, we'll just continue this. Look for motion to continue this public hearing. Ms. Eminger.
I have no further comments. Thank you.
Great. Commissioners, one more time. So,
Mr. Chairman?
Yeah, Commissioner Botello.
Mr. Chairman, then can I make a motion to have the petitioner come back for an amended petition?
Yeah,
At
did
the
you
next meeting.
just say we're going to continue, make a motion to continue the public hearing?
Make a motion to continue the public hearing.
Thank
Yes.
you. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Nejam. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Unanimous. And Commissioner Harrison, was that a yes or no? Your motion to, you agree with the motion?
Apologies, that was an aye
Thank you.
for continuation.
Thank you. Motion to continue is unanimous. So as I said earlier, our next meeting is October 8th, 2024. They will try to get it done by that next meeting. If not, we have another one on the 22nd. So
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, members.
So this hearing, public hearing is continued. Let me get this and this out of the way. If you would just give me 1 second, everyone.
Commissioner Haddad,
Who's speaking? Commissioner O'Neill, yes.
can I just make a comment to add to this?
To
I just wanted to make a comment about it. I just wanted to commend Ms. Eminger on all the work that she did. You can tell that she went above and beyond in what she did, and I'm sure that her time was well outside of normal work hours. She incorporated so many different people who needed to be involved in this, and I just think that as a commission member, like, I really appreciate everything that you did and that everyone was able to work together so well. So thank you.
Well, thank you for that. Thank you, Ms.
Thank you.
Eminger, also.
Thank you.
Nobody appreciates that more than I do, by the way.
I tell you, Attorney Marcus, while you're here, who comes to us very frequently, and Attorney Beecher also, we're trying to get it out there so that we can get some of these pre-petition meetings with you and staff.
Yep.
Because if you did that earlier on, you may have been out of this tonight, you know? So we're trying to trying to put a focus on that to make things a lot easier. Thank you.
Thank you.
Tonight we have another petition from Luis Mateo, Mika Restaurant, 86-90 White Street, I-13053 and I-13054 for special permit for restaurant liquor in CCBD zone. Ms. Eminger, I don't think there's anything you want to talk about now, or do you want to?
No, I'll reserve comments till after the petitioners made their presentation.
Okay, and I'm going to ask Attorney Beecher during his presentation, I'm sure he's going to touch on the a letter from Ms. Smith as well? Some of those points, Attorney Beecher?
The letter from Ms. Smith,
Yeah, from Ally Smith, Associate Planner. We have,
the revised special permit waiver?
yeah.
Yes,
You want me to read that in, or are you gonna touch on it?
you can read it in.
Okay. All right. I didn't know if you were gonna go over it, it would have saved time. So commission members, there's a revised letter dated May 22nd. It's revised September 24th, 2024 of a May 22nd, 2024 letter to Attorney Beecher from the Associate Planner Ally Smith regarding this petition. Dear Mr. Beecher, I reviewed the reference application to permit an approximately 2,640 square foot restaurant with the sale of alcoholic beverages and 572 square feet of accessory office in the building located at 86-90 White Street, formerly known as Meeker's Hardware. The property owner is Mateo Luis. The applicant is proposing to renovate a portion of the first floor for a 92-seat, includes 12 seats at the bar restaurant. There will be one 572 square foot accessory office on the second floor. The remaining portions of the building will be vacant or used as accessory storage. And it goes on to discuss the restaurant requires a total of 23 parking spaces, 92 seats, and 3 employees. The plan is titled 86-90 White Street, prepared by Paulino Services. That 23 spaces are available on the site for restaurant use. Your application for a waiver to site plan requirements for said 2,640 square foot restaurant with the sale of alcoholic beverages and a 572 square foot accessory office is approved, subject to the following administrative requirements. Number 1, approval is granted strictly for the proposed change in use, and any additional changes to the site layout will require a revised site plan application. Number 2, the applicant shall comply with all site and interior improvements as shown on maps under the title Luis Mateo, 86 White Street. Otherwise prepared by Vakota Architecture, dated March 28, 2024, unless otherwise noted. A, subtitled site plan, B, subtitled floor plans, and C, subtitled floor plan. Number 3, the restaurant shall not exceed 92 seats. Number 4, the accessory office shall not exceed 25% of the tenant's usable floor area. Number 5, the restaurant space shall occupy the first floor tenant space and not exceed 2,640 square feet. The second floor office shall be incidental and only occupy the reference 572 square feet of tenant space. Number 6, the remaining 4,201 square foot of the building must remain vacant until such time there is adequate parking made available. Number 7, all future changes in use in the subject properties and reconfiguration of tenant spaces shall require approval by the Department of Planning and Zoning. Following actions shall be taken prior to the issuance of a zoning permit. In accordance with Section 3F2 of the zoning regulations, the applicant shall obtain a special permit from the Zoning Commission for a restaurant with the sale of alcoholic beverages. Number 9, the zoning enforcement officer shall verify that a special permit was granted by the Zoning Commission for the restaurant use. Number 10, in accordance with Section 8C1(5)(b) of the zoning regulations, the applicant shall provide evidence to the zoning enforcement officer that the appropriate number of parking permits have been purchased through the Danbury Parking Authority for employee parking at the Patriot Garage. This approval does not waive any other departmental approvals, requirements, or permits that may be necessary to complete this project, including that required for site signage. The permit center should be contacted regarding the process of obtaining a zoning permit. Please contact the Department of Planning and Zoning if you have any questions. Commission members, just as a matter of housekeeping, this was revised strictly for 2 words under 8 and 9, where the word restaurant in both instances on the first report said cafe. It was a typo and it was corrected. Attorney Beecher.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, members of the commission. My name is Tom Beecher, and I'm an attorney with the Collins Hannafin law firm in Danbury, and I represent Luis Mateo, who's the owner of this property. And with me here tonight are Mr. Mateo and also Mr. Paulino, who prepared the floor plans. And they are together tonight because Mr. Paulino assists me in translation with my client, which I'm grateful for. We filed this application for a special permit for the restaurant with alcohol service. Mr. Mateo would like to operate the restaurant as Meeker's Restaurant. Mr. Mateo has been a chef for over 20 years. We've received the site plan waiver, the approval that you just read. And as you may have noticed, Mr. Matelo has invested a considerable amount of money into the building since the last time he was before this commission. He's invested in this iconic building, and this building is on the National Register of Historic Places. He replaced the windows and he replaced the roof. He also restored the old Pepsi sign on the east side of the building, which looks terrific. When Mr. Matelo first came to see me, it was his idea to call the restaurant Meeker's Restaurant in a tribute to the history of this building and this site. I asked him if there was anything left from the old Meeker's hardware, because I've been practicing in Danbury since 1984 and remember going in there, and they had if you recall, those of us might be a little older, that there were the ladders that went from floor to ceiling, and somebody would climb up the ladder and get me a 3-inch bolt or a washer or a nut and come back down the ladder. I'd go to the counter and I could buy just one. I didn't have to buy a pack of 20 like I have to at Home Depot. So, those were the days. Unfortunately, I'm told that Mr. Meeker at the end actually had the inside of the building stripped because some of those old relics might have been kind of interesting for the theme and for the decor for the restaurant. But in any event, we still have the building. The building is located, as you know, in the CBD downtown business zone, as well as the downtown revitalization zone. While this building is large, the restaurant is currently constrained to having no more than 92 seats, 80 for dining room seats and 12 seats at the bar. And some of you may ask why. The proposed restaurant building is literally only 300 feet from the Patriot Garage as the crow flies. Unfortunately, the parking regulation requires that there be a maximum of 500-foot distance, but that must be measured by walking on the sidewalk from the main entrance of the garage to the main entrance of the restaurant. So for this particular use, you would leave the main entrance of the Patriot Garage, which faces the city center green. You take a right turn and walk out to Patriot Drive on the sidewalk. You then would walk along that sidewalk, along the rather tall black iron fence, all the way to White Street, around the corner, and then to the front door, which is a total of 600 feet. Now, personally, if I come out of a parking space or a parking garage and I can see the restaurant building where I want to go to dinner, I'm going to make that walk. But unfortunately, the regulations in this case prohibit us from using any of the Patriot Garage parking towards our count for the uses in this particular building. So we have 23 parking spaces on site, and that gets us to the 92 seats, 12 at the bar, 80 in the dining room, and that's where we are. Perhaps this commission sometime along with the planning department might take a look at this in the future and maybe look at something like a 400-foot boundary to boundary as the crow flies change to the regulation. And that might be of assistance to other downtown businesses. Now, the regulations do allow us, as was pointed out in the site plan waiver, to have our employees park in that garage, as long as we get permits from the city for spaces in the garage for those employees to park. Now, as you can see, we filed a sample menu, and I apologize for that being a little bit late, but Mr. Matelo plans on having a mix of American food and Peruvian food. We've proposed that the hours for the restaurant be from 10 a.m. to midnight, Monday through Thursday, and from 10 a.m. On Friday through Sunday. There will be one office upstairs, which will be used solely as an accessory office for the restaurant business. The other office space is shown as vacant. I would note that on the floor plans that we submitted originally, the second floor does show an event private gathering space. I filed late this afternoon a revised sheet which will show nothing. In other words, that reference to event space was removed. If there's ever a change to the regulations, my client would love to consider having event space for weddings and the like up there. And of course, expand the number of tables in the dining room. So we'll see. For now, Mr. Matelo is eager to open his own restaurant, and I would think he would like to begin recouping some of his investment in this property. The property is served by city water and sewer. And under your general criteria for special permits for a restaurant use, this use is clearly compatible with the surrounding uses in this neighborhood and area. There are other restaurants nearby and on both Ives Street and the city center area. And there's one or two across the street in that plaza on the corner of White Street and Maple Avenue. There will not be any detrimental effect on any churches or schools. There are no nearby residential neighborhoods. And the very nearby area of Danbury was planned and designed so as to have parking available for the entertainment and dining establishments. And there was a push over the last several years to try to enhance the downtown dining district. So I think even though we're on the periphery of that, perhaps, I think it would be a great contribution to the downtown Danbury area in this section of town. There's the good and the bad, right? So we only have 23 parking spaces, which is a lament, but because of that, there won't be any impact on traffic or safety as a result of 23 cars going in and out of this particular parking lot. So we believe that this application complies with the special permit criteria in both your section 3F2 as well as 10C4. And on behalf of Mr. Matelo, we would ask you to approve the application. Thank you.
Thank you, Attorney Beecher. Couple quick questions I missed. I was taking notes. Your Friday to Sunday hours were 10 a.m. to when?
2 a.m.
2 a.m. Okay.
2 a.m.
And Monday through Thursday is 10 a.m. to midnight.
Correct.
Next question is your revised floor plan. You're going to remove the gathering area?
Yeah, it's blank right now.
But what about the bathrooms and the conference room? Is everything's going to be removed except the office?
I don't know if he's done the bathrooms yet, but actually constructed them. If not, then we would probably just have a bathroom up there for the office use and the employees. But
yeah, only because I'm looking at the plans. I'm just trying to clarify what your next revised floor plan is going to be like. So there's 1, 2, 3. There's 4 bathrooms, a conference room, and a gathering hall up there now on the plan that we have here. So you're going to submit a revised site plan, removing I understand the gathering area, but I didn't know about the other areas.
All we were showing and all I asked Malvin to redraw was to remove the reference to the event space in that large room.
Okay. All right. I guess we'll get to that when we get to staff, or maybe Melvin could talk to that. And yes, thank you for those ideas on the relooking at distances and feet versus crow flies. Commission members, any questions of Attorney Beecher at this time? Commission members, not at this time. Attorney Beecher, did you want to introduce anyone to speak, or do you, or you're here for questions?
Well, only if Malvin wants to add anything and thinks I missed anything. But
Melvin, how are you, Melvin? Welcome.
Hi, how are you guys?
Good to see you again. Why don't you tell us if you have anything on your mind?
So basically the attorney covered everything. I just also want to let everybody know that David is the architect of record. He's also here on the call. So
that's David Varnish?
David Varnish, right.
Principal
of Vakota Architecture.
Oh, that's great. Excellent. So I see that you did an awful lot of work to the building. appreciate it. Thank you very much. It looks great. And I see that the last time, for those that aren't familiar with it, the last time you were here was for a cafe, and you had some work to do on the building. This commission members is a restaurant. It's a real live restaurant with alcohol service. So we shifted gears a little bit here. Floor plans look terrific. Architecture looks terrific. There's a lot of the comment that we at the last meeting collaborated with you on that you took into consideration this time around, that I want to let some of the new members know. An awful lot of the comment that we made last time around you put into play here. So we want to let you know that we recognize that as well. Anything else you wanted to throw out there while we have you?
So your question about the bathrooms, we would like to build them if it's possible, just to have them there to do all the building in one fell swoop. And then if the regulations do change in the future, we already have those spaces to build on,
right.
instead of building on it later on.
I follow. All right, so we'll see. Let's see what happens with the rest of the discussion and here, and then we'll get some comment from staff if they have any.
Just to, if I could follow on that, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah.
While we all understand that the event space would trigger the requirement for more parking spaces, I'm not sure that having additional bathrooms presents any problem from the permitting process. So I just add that to the mix.
Yeah, I know that a permit hasn't been issued for that as of yet. Commission members, any questions at this time of Melvin, Paulino, Mr. David Varnish, or Attorney Beecher? Commission members. I'm sorry, Commissioner Botello. I didn't see your hand. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a question, maybe Mr. Beecher or Mr. Paulino could just give me a better idea. You're saying that you've turned it from a cafe to a restaurant and that you're going to stay open until 2 o'clock in the morning as a restaurant. And I'm just wondering, is there a business after 11 o'clock that is a restaurant business, or this is something that is going to change? How do you keep a restaurant going until 2 o'clock in the morning? I think Mr. Jowdy would probably know better than I. Rick, if you're still there. I mean, you're going to just have the restaurant open until 2 o'clock in the morning. So that means there's no gathering, there's no dancing or whatever. I mean, how do you keep a restaurant going until 2 o'clock in the morning is my question.
Well, that would be Friday, Saturday, and Sunday only, but I'll let Attorney Beecher if he wants to comment on that.
Yeah, I mean, there's also 12 bar seats. And so certainly if people come in for a late dinner, they may stay for a little while. There is some competition next door that offers a little bit different in terms of nightlife that this facility won't, because it's primarily a restaurant.
That's my question. After 12 o'clock, how are you going to keep your patrons there are you just sitting there drinking for another 2 hours? I don't know. Mr. Jowdy, do you have any thoughts about that? Please unmute.
Commissioner Jowdy, unmute.
I think possibly a liquor license right now to go for the whole thing open at 2 o'clock might be easier for them. And I think something like this, they have in mind not just to drink, beer and other alcoholic beverages at the bar, but probably quickly go into some kind of nightclub, karaoke, DJ or something like that. I think that's probably what their attention is, but we could ask the applicant.
Well, we understand that if we did make that change, we would have to go through planning and zoning, and we'd need a separate entertainment license from the department.
From City Hall, you need the town hall, correct?
I think I'd have to go through Sean, but yes.
Right.
Yeah, to Sean. Commissioner Botello, did you have anything more to add?
I just want to make sure that this is something that's functional and that he can do it and comply with making this decision that he's going to be a restaurant. Just makes qualifications that he is a restaurant. I mean, I just don't know how the last 2 hours or 3 hours of that night it's going to be profitable for him to stay in business without doing something different, which is not permitted. That's the only question.
Well, Commissioner Botello, let me ask you with all due respect, only trying to climb inside your head. Are you asking about the hours from the Publix safety, or are you asking about the hours from the profitability of the petitioner?
From the petitioner, as far as the rights of being a restaurant, to be able to stay open until 2 o'clock is fine. And if he finds that he doesn't have patrons after 10 or 11 o'clock, if he changes his mantra, does that mean he's going to change his position? And then he's not going to have if we approve this, he won't have that application that's been approved for what that is.
Well, if I can, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, absolutely, Attorney Beecher.
The permit that, and Mr. Jowdy alluded to it as well. If we have the approval from this commission and a permit from the state, that doesn't require Mr. Matalo to stay open those full hours. In other words, if he determines that either staffing or clientele wise, it's not worth doing, then he can decide to close early. So I appreciate your concern, Mr. Patello. I really do, but I think it's going to be a business decision.
Okay, but the applicant understands that he can't all of a sudden, if business is slow, to turn it into a nightclub after 12 o'clock because he's there.
Correct. He understands.
Okay.
I think it's a simple matter of supply and demand. If there's not enough people, he changes his hours. You know, he can always go backwards.
All well and good, as long as
Yeah.
he's doing what's in compliance.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything
Okay.
else, commission members?
Thank you.
Commissioner Simone, did you have your hand up?
Yeah, I did. I just want to ask a question.
Sure.
What is the target audience for this establishment?
Demographic, Attorney Beecher?
Across the board is my understanding. I mean, it's going to be a variety of food. And obviously offering Peruvian food is a little different, although there's a variety downtown at the moment. But this would be something a little different.
Yeah, I just didn't know if it was going to more cater to the food aspect or the drink aspect, you know.
No, the
if it's
food
gonna-
aspect, definitely. That's why we're in here for a restaurant license this time around.
Yeah, again, commission members, they did come in at one time to try and just sell as much liquor as they can and bags of chips. All right, this is a restaurant. They're now making it into a restaurant. So as much as they'd like to sell Stolian Cranberry, my favorite drink, I'm sure they really would like to sell a lot more food. And that's really what they're aiming for this time around. I think the last time they were here, the timing may not, Melvin, the timing maybe wasn't right at that time for you to go restaurant. And I think as you fixed up the building, you grew into it and said, I think you still had maybe have a shorter term left on Billy Bean's next door, right? So that's probably shortened up a couple of years. And now it's time for you to do what you were going to do anyway and you were going to evolve from a cafe into a restaurant. Now the
Exactly.
time is here, I'm going to go do a restaurant.
Right.
Yes,
All right.
we're just gonna go ahead and become a restaurant. And then some of the concerns that some of the committee members had, what is he gonna do between the hours of 12 and 2? Well, he plans to do what he kind of does here at Billy Bean, which is serve people snacks and stuff. When people leave bars around the area, they want one place to grab a snack before they get home. So that's kind of like what he's planning to do. And if that succeeds, he'll continue doing it. And if it doesn't, then the business model does have to change.
Right, exactly. Thank you. Commission members, any other, I'm sorry, Commissioner Simone, you good?
Yeah, I'm
Commissioner
good.
Simone, any more questions?
No, I'm good.
Thank you. Commissioner, any other commission members? Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor of this petition? Is there anyone wishing to speak in favor of this petition? I see a hand by Allison Hallis. Allison Hallis, yes, to unmute your mic and just give us your name and address and say what you'd like to say.
Hi, my name is actually Allison Meeker Hallis. Address is 9 Timbercrest Drive in Danbury. And I am the former owner of the daughter's owner of Meeker's Hardware. I grew up in the store, obviously, and I'm here in support of this petition. My father, this was my dad's dream after the store closed. And this zoning regulation that we're talking about, I had impassioned conversations with my father, who was so upset about this parking garage and this stone's throw. And I had so many conversations with him in the back office where he was so frustrated with this zoning aspect. And my dad was all about revitalizing downtown Danbury. It was his passion and his dream. And he also believed in the diversity of our community and showcasing that. And I just think there's really nothing better to showcase how Danbury can evolve than to put a Peruvian American restaurant inside of Meeker's Hardware, and talking about diversifying clientele. Like, that's going to bring the old and the new together. People are going to want to go into Meeker's Hardware that have been Danburyans their whole life. They're going to want to go see this restaurant. It's going to bring people in, and it's going to support a culture in our city that's a beautiful culture. So I just wanted to share that I myself and many members of my family are in full support of this restaurant, and I know that my father would be as well. And just a plug for the future. Before we had to make the hard decision of selling the building, that upstairs space was made to be a beautiful place where you can bring in community and celebrate. I had visions of chandeliers. Like, it's so, you could make it so beautiful and so perfect. So I'd really just like to support future vision there as well. And just also thank you for all the work that you put into the building. It was a lot of money, and we couldn't do it, but you have committed to it and have done it. So I just want to thank you for that.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Ms. Hallis. Commissioner members, any questions of Ms. Hallis at this time? Thank you for the history on that, and thank you for your passion. Appreciate it.
I will also share that I have 3 cash registers in my basement right now that are waiting for the right use.
Maybe they want to put one up on their counter.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate all the kind words. And yes, that space, like, we envision having like a ball, or that's just a tremendous gathering area, because it's absolutely beautiful. And all you have to do is just restore it a little bit.
Yes.
But then again, we do need the regulations to change in order to accomplish it.
Yes.
Thank you. Commission members, any questions of Ms. Hallis? Anyone else wishing to speak? Oh, Commissioner Botello, yes, go ahead. Unmute.
I'd like to say to Ms. Hallis that it's a pleasure to meet you. I was going to your store since I was a kid, and then I remember bringing my son there. And what I remember is that your grandfather was there, and my son was like 8 years old, and he was picking at the candy, and your grandfather came by with his cane and he whacked him on the back and said, "Hey kid, what are you doing in the store?" He said, "Don't you do that at my store." But your grandfather knew every nut and bolt that was ever made in this world. And the fact that they're going to keep Meeker's, I was excited when they said there was going to make it Meeker's Restaurant, because that name should not go away. That's iconic, like St. Peter's Church or Congregational Church or any of the others. You're really a true part of the Danbury. And I just hope that the people taking over realize how important that place really is. It's a shame that it's gone so far and it's been left so unattended for so long, but you could really make a new future and people will come back. I really think that. So
thank you, Commissioner Botello. Appreciate
Thank you.
it. Anyone else in favor of this petition? Is there anyone else wishing to speak in favor of this petition? Anyone else wishing to speak in favor of this petition? Is there anyone wishing to speak in opposition to this petition? Is there anyone wishing to speak in opposition to this petition? Is there anyone wishing to speak in opposition to this petition? Attorney Beecher, you want to close it up for us? Any other comments?
I really don't have anything else to say, except that maybe I would have asked Ms. Hallis to go first instead of me.
Attorney Beecher, let me ask you this. If this commission wanted to take action tonight, you would owe us a revised floor plan?
Yes, I agree with that. On condition that we file a revised floor plan, because what we filed this afternoon did not call it vacant space. We just removed the label for event space.
All
And so
right,
I'd prefer that we file one that actually calls it vacant space.
okay.
And so we can, if you can just condition it on us filing that prior to the special permit issuing.
Okay, so Planning Director Al-Bakri, you had your hand raised. Did you want to comment?
Good evening, Mr. Chair. You actually asked the question I had. So
Oh.
that's the one I had in mind. So
Okay.
specifically speaking for the record, my name is Walid Al-Bakri. I'm the planning director. And I just want to echo what Mr. Beecher was talking about. Yes, we are actually working on some regulation to make it more flexible downtown. So hopefully in the near future, you will be able to use more of the space you have. But for now, and just for the night, page 11 in the PDF that we have, there's actually a discrepancy between the requirement on page 2, which is talking about 25% maximum office space, and what is shown on page 11. I believe the bathroom can continue to exist as they are because just the bathroom. I'm talking about the way the layout for the second floor is like. The way it is actually now, and I know there have been lots of submissions. What is shown now on page 11, it shows a conference room, and it shows other areas that will exceed 25% being utilized as an office. So once we are able to just make this small adjustment, I believe the application actually meets all the requirements.
Got it, Attorney Beecher?
We're fine with that, Mr. Chairman.
Commission members, any questions of Director Al-Bakri? Commission members? Thank you. Commissioner Botello, you had a comment?
No, sorry. No.
Okay. Attorney Beecher, anything else? You done?
No, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Good,
All
thank you.
done. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Ms. Eminger, did you have any comment that you wanted to make regarding this petition?
Actually, Mr. Chairman, what I was going to provide input on, after I spoke to Attorney Beecher this afternoon, I spoke to Sean Harity, zoning enforcement officer, because I wanted to find out if there were any active permits for that second floor. And a permit was submitted. It's on hold because, again, the floor plan submitted showed that event space, the conference room, you know, the office was too large. There were issues with it. So the permit at this point is on hold. When I spoke to Sean and mentioned that, you know, we would be, our recommendation would be to condition the special release of the special permit on revising the floor plans. He also felt that the removal of the conference room and the bathrooms as well, to show it as vacant space, he'd be comfortable if it was not constructed. Right now, there is a small kitchen and bathrooms on the second floor to serve that accessory office. So he felt that, you know, building that conference room, which again isn't in compliance with the waiver, and those bathrooms would be more than what he would be comfortable issuing a permit for. So we would request that once the plans are let me rephrase that. As the plans are revised to show that event space is vacant space, that the conference room and those bathrooms are also shown as vacant space. And again, once the regulations are changed and you have the ability to open that space up, then come in and build that space.
Okay, difficult questions. I mean, is there the concept of changing these regulations or updating these regs? Is that in the hopper now?
It is.
It is? Oh, okay. Okay. Comment, Ms. Attorney Beecher, on that? Anything?
Well, I stand by what I said before about bathrooms, but if it's going to stand in the way of the permit, then we'll just have to erase everything upstairs except a sufficient amount of space for the office.
Director Al-Bakri.
Mr. Chairman, I think it's actually at least having the hookups for the bathroom might be a good idea, because if they are to utilize the space in the future, since they are doing construction now, it feels like more of a unnecessary hurdle not to allow them to have any kind of construction done. Again, I see where the act of permitting is coming from, but at the same time, I see that if they start construction, it makes a lot of sense to allow them to have bathrooms if they are not going to have other spaces, and they come back later if they want. So I would feel it was a little bit overcautious not to allow bathroom upstairs.
Thank you. Commission members, any questions of Director Al-Bakri?
No.
Thank you. Attorney Beecher, comments on that?
No, I think it makes sense to at least be able to rough out the plumbing while the sheet rock's being done and whatever else.
So my question then, Director Al-Bakri, did you have your hand continue to raise? You have further comment? Oh, okay. So let me ask Ms. Eminger this: if this commission wants to take action, should we make it subject to the revised plan, or should we just wait for the revised plan for the next meeting?
Mr. Chairman, I don't think there's any reason to wait for the revised plan. I think we can talk offline between Attorney Beecher, Mr. Paulino, his team, as well as Sean Harity and Waleed, and come up with what we feel is an equitable solution to get everyone what they want.
So
but I don't think we should hold this up. If you trust staff to take care of that, we will take care of that.
Okay,
Hey,
great.
Teddy.
So then, Commissioner Nejan.
Yeah, Teddy, I agree with Tom. You know, when you're dealing with construction, when you're tearing out walls, moving studs, et cetera, these bathrooms should be at least roughed in, if not permitted. I think we're being a little way too cautious. Give this guy the ability to plan for the future, because it's going to cost them a lot less money to deal with it now than wait for these. I shouldn't say erroneous, but these regulations that are doing nothing but costing a proprietor money. So I think he should be allowed to go and get prepared so that it doesn't cost him more money in the future.
Understand.
And that's from a construction background. Let him go.
Understandable.
Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry. I just want to clarify. My point comes from the zoning enforcement officer, and director of the permit center. So, you know, again, I respect Mr. Nejan's comments, and absolutely, we're in full support of him moving forward with the construction. But the comment I offered was consistent with the conversation I'd had with Sean Harity, the zoning enforcement officer.
I understand, but my comments are, I'm addressing this because I want to know if a commission member wants to make a motion to approve tonight, conditioned upon receiving a revised floor plan. Should it be a revised floor plan with specifics? Or is it sufficient enough to say, I make a motion to approve for specific reasons and the conditioned upon a revised site plan being submitted? Does this language you want in, if a commissioner is going to make language to approve, do you want a revised site plan to state something, or a revised site plan? Is all I'm asking for. What's acceptable? Ms. Eminger.
Not a revised site plan. We're only asking.
I'm sorry. Revised floor plan. I'm sorry.
A revised floor plan that we would, again, we will release the special permit upon receiving the revised floor plan.
Got it. Perfect. Ms. O'Neill. Commissioner O'Neill.
So I guess, let me take my hand down now while I'm thinking about it. I guess I totally think I understand what everyone's saying here. And I agree that it makes more sense to put those bathrooms in, at least plumbed from a construction point of view and a business point of view. And I'm just wondering, like, since zoning officer Sean isn't here, like, will that hold it up, or will he disagree? Like, we feel like it should be the bathrooms. Do we have to be so vague in our approval that it could go either way so that it doesn't get held up by Sean later?
I think we're at, my last question was, if somebody makes a motion to approve this based on receiving a revised floor plan, we're out of the picture on bathrooms. They'll hammer it out. I guess that's exactly where we're at.
Okay.
So,
All right, good.
I mean, I'm a dot the I and cross the T kind of guy. So I was asking and searching to see how far are we dotting, how many I's are we dotting, and how many T's are we crossing. It sounds to me that we're good if we want to go with simply a vague approval with a vague statement that subject to receiving a revised floor plan, and let staff and zoning enforcement and the petitioner and architects and everybody believe that over.
I can have a meeting with Sean beforehand and talk to him about the bathrooms and see how comfortable he is and where he'll let us go before submitting the revised floor plan. So what he is saying is, I totally agree with that. Let me meet with Sean, let me see what he's comfortable with, and then let me submit the revised floor plan.
I agree with it all. I just needed to get on the record to give some guidance to a commission member that's going to be making a motion where they should go with this. Commissioner Botello. Unmute, Commissioner. Commissioner Botello, unmute your mic.
Yes, thank you for hearing me out. The question I have is that we've been talking about different things at a couple avenues, but it seems like now we're all directed as to whether to roughen the restrooms, and that's the only concern we have. Is there anything else that we should be talking about to make sure that if we were to give an answer tonight, that it would have some safety network as to what is going to be performed in the future to make sure it's going to comply with what we need? And that could go farther than what is just about a restroom. That's my question, because we've talked about other things in addition to restrooms. So how does the panel feel about that?
Well, I mean, it's as the petition submitted. So we have seats, we have hours, we have parking spaces, we have everything that we need to know. We have a menu that was required to be submitted. We have to find it to be in compliance with section 3F2A and E and 5FC3. Which I think it does, but I'll reserve that for discussion.
But Jennifer feels confident that if we were to push this ahead and put it to close it out tonight and then vote on it, that it would be able to stand the test of time. And other than the fact that we just had to worry about this restroom, is that the only concern? Just want to make sure that I'm clear on all the avenues that we talked about.
Ms. Eminger.
Again, I feel that, staff doesn't object to the issuance of the special permit. It complies with zoning regulations. I think with the revision to the floor plan, it will comply with the waiver, as well as allow them to apply for the required permits to do the work. So staff has no objection.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Let's get a final comment from Mr. Paulino. Unmute, go ahead. You had your hand raised. You want to speak?
Oh, my apologies.
Okay. All right. Commissioner members, anything else? Commissioner members, anything else? Final comment, Attorney Beecher.
No, I think we've taken care of it, Mr. Chairman, and I appreciate everybody's comments.
I think we beat it pretty good. Ms. Eminger, any comments?
No, Mr. Chairman, thank you.
Director Al-Bakri, any final comments? You're good? Thank you. Commission members, unless anybody has any questions of Ms. Eminger, I'd be looking for a motion to close the public hearing. Commissioner Botello.
Okay, so I'll make a motion to close the hearing and to push it to old business to be possibly considered. No,
not yet.
One at a time. I'm sorry.
Yep, you're good. No problem. We close it first. A second by Commissioner Jowdy. Any discussion? All those in favor of closing this public hearing this evening signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed. Commission members, we have a motion by Commissioner Botello to move number 2 petition this evening of Luis Mateo, Mika Restaurant, 86-90 White Street, to number 1 under old business for discussion and possible action for this evening. Is there a second? Is there a second? Second by Commissioner O'Neill.
Second
Any
that.
discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Aye.
This will appear under number 1 under old business for discussion and possible action. Commission members, we do not have any continuation of public hearing. Let us now go to old business for discussion and possible action. Commission members, number 1 under old business for discussion and possible action is a petition from Luis Mateo, Mika Restaurant, 86-90 White Street, I-13053 and I-13054 for special permit for restaurant liquor in CBD zone. The public hearing was open on September 24th, 2024, and it was closed on September 24th, 2024. Commission members, what's your pleasure? Commission members, anybody want to make any motion or any discussion? Commissioner Botello.
It looks like that everyone seems to be in favor of pushing this through, and it looks like that we've gotten some information back from the family and the fact that they are excited about this. Once again, I believe it's the way to go. I just hope that Mr. Polino conveys to the actual applicant that this is a very serious application. We're going to be looking at it and scrutinize it in the future, and it's I hope that he lives up to what he says he's going to do. And with that, I'd be happy to make a motion to accept this and pass it.
Would you be willing to state as reasons that it complies with the zoning regulations 3F
Yes.
and 5FC3? And would you also make this conditioned upon receiving an updated floor plan, a revised floor plan?
Yes, I would.
Great, thank you. Who wants to second that?
Second.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Nejam. Any discussion? Let me ask Ms. Eminger, are we missing any good reasons? Or are we covered?
You're covered. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Beautiful. Thank you. Any other discussion? A yes is yes. A no is no. Commissioner Botello.
Yes.
Commissioner Nejam.
Yes.
Commissioner Cabrera.
Yes.
There she is. I called in Commissioner Simone.
Yeah.
Commissioner Jowdy.
Yes.
I called in for Bennett, Commissioner Harrison.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Neill.
Yes.
And I will make it unanimous. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8-0 this time. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate it.
No, thank you for bringing
You're
us
welcome.
thank you for bringing this petition this evening, and for Mr. Varnish, and I hope I'm not missing anyone else there. Thank you for your hard work, Mr. Paulino. Thank you. Attorney Beecher, good job.
Well, good luck.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Commission members, we don't have anything under new business. We don't have anything under correspondence. For reference only, we have a petition of the City of Danbury by Walid Al-Bakri, Planning Director, to add subsection 5B, 5D to the zoning regulations, in parentheses, refine requirements for dependency treatment center in the CA80 zone and renumber subsequent sections. Commission members, this is scheduled for October 22nd, 2024. So our next meeting is on October 8th, where we're probably going to pick up Zell Partners if they're ready. If they're not ready at that time, we'll probably have both of them on October 22nd. Are there any other matters? Any other matters? Ms. Eminger, Director Al-Bakri, any matters? Commission members, anything on your mind? If anybody wants to make a motion to adjourn at 8:45, I'll take it. Commissioner Simone wants to make a motion to adjourn at 8:45. Is there a second?
We'll second it.
Second by Commissioner Botello. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Aye.
This public hearing is closed. This meeting is closed at 8.